The sandstorm on Mars had finally settled, revealing the excavation site that had been hidden for days. Dr. Jin Han wiped the fine red dust from her equipment and adjusted her helmet camera. After 3 months at the Arcadia Planitia Research Station, her team had uncovered something that defied explanation. Recording log entry 47, she spoke clearly as she approached the exposed structure. "We've cleared the final layer of sediment. The object appears to be a metallic doorway of some kind, embedded in the rock face." The structure gleamed under the harsh lights they had set up, its surface unmarred by the thousands of years it had spent buried beneath the Martian soil. Dr. Ta Kim, the team's linguist, was already examining the intricate symbols etched along the frame. "These patterns," he muttered, "they're identical to the ones we found in the Atlantic Trench site on Earth." Jin felt a chill despite her climate-controlled suit. The Atlantic discovery had been controversial enough. A metallic chamber 2 miles below the ocean surface that contained technology far beyond anything humans could currently produce. But finding the same markings here, on another planet, was impossible. "Run the dating scan again," she ordered. Sun Park, their technology specialist, already had the scanner pressed against the structure's surface. Same result as before. Minimum age of 102,000 years. That's before known human civilization. Jin stared at the numbers on the display, trying to make sense of them. Humans hadn't even mastered agriculture 100,000 years ago, let alone interplanetary travel. "There's something else," said Sun, his voice tight with excitement. "The DNA traces embedded in the control panel, they're human." Jin's world tilted. "That's not possible." "3 separate tests confirm it," Sun insisted. "Whoever built this was human. Or at least, human enough that our tests can't tell the difference." Jin steadied herself against the rock wall. "We need to open it." The team worked methodically, carefully decoding the sequence of symbols that seemed to function as a lock. After several hours, Dr. Kim pressed the final glyph in the sequence. A low hum filled the air, and the team stepped back as the ancient door slid open with surprising smoothness. Cool air rushed out from the chamber beyond, carrying a scent that was somehow familiar, like old books and metal. "Atmosphere readings are normal," reported Sun, checking his instruments. "Oxygen, nitrogen, it's breathable." The 3 scientists exchanged looks, then Jin made the decision. "I'm removing my helmet." "Director will have your job for that," warned Tai, but he made no move to stop her. Jin slowly unsealed her helmet and lifted it off. She took a careful breath, then another. The air tasted stale but clean. "It's fine," she confirmed, and the others followed her example. The chamber beyond was roughly circular, with walls covered in the same symbols they'd found on the door. In the center stood a raised platform supporting what appeared to be a control console. The technology looked both ancient and advanced, like nothing from Earth's history. "Look at this," called Sun, who had approached the console. "It's activating in response to our presence." The console had begun to glow with a soft blue light. Symbols appeared in the air above it, a holographic display showing what could only be a map of star systems. "It's a navigation chart," breathed Jin. "These are coordinates." Ta was frantically recording everything with his tablet. Some of these symbols match ancient writing systems on Earth, bits of Proto-Sumerian, early Chinese, even what might be prehistoric Sanskrit, as if they're all derived from this original language. Jin reached out tentatively toward the holographic display. As her fingers touched one of the glowing stars, the entire map expanded, focusing on that system. More information appeared: planets, moons, and what looked like installation sites. "This is a network," she realized. A network of outposts, colonies, spread across dozens of star systems. Sun had discovered a secondary console against the wall. "There's some kind of storage device here. It's massive, could hold petabytes of information." As they explored, Jin noticed something else: the proportions of everything in the room. The height of the console, the spacing of the controls, the seats positioned before various workstations. All were perfectly suited for human bodies. "This wasn't built by aliens," she said slowly. "This was built by us. By humans." "Impossible." Ta shook his head. "Humans weren't capable of this 100,000 years ago. Unless—" Jin felt the weight of the revelation settling on her. "Unless we've been asking the wrong questions. What if humanity didn't evolve on Earth and then reach for the stars? What if we were already among the stars and somehow returned to Earth?" The three scientists fell silent, considering the implications. Jin activated her communicator. "Mission Control, this is Dr. Han. We've made a discovery that changes everything we thought we knew about human history." Within days, similar chambers were discovered at other sites on Mars. And on Earth, researchers began finding more evidence. Technological artifacts buried deep in ancient strata, genetic anomalies in the human genome that suggested deliberate engineering, myths from every culture that spoke of humans coming from the stars. A month after the Mars discovery, Jin stood before the United Nations Security Council, the collected evidence projected on screens behind her. "The data is conclusive," she stated. "Approximately 100,000 years ago, an advanced human civilization possessed interstellar travel capabilities and had established outposts across multiple star systems, including Mars. Something caused this civilization to collapse, forcing a retreat to Earth where survivors lost their technological knowledge and had to rebuild from scratch." "And the star maps?" asked one of the council members. "We believe they are directions to other human outposts and colonies," Jin replied. "Some may still exist. Some may even be inhabited." As humanity absorbed this shocking revision of their history, preparations began for a mission to the nearest coordinates from the Mars map. The question was no longer if humans would join the galactic community, but when they would return to it. Jin stood at the observation window of the Mars base, looking out at the red landscape. Somewhere out there among the stars, answers awaited. Not about alien civilizations, but about humanity's own forgotten past. They weren't newcomers to space. They were going home. Captain Min Lee straightened his uniform and took a deep breath as the ship's engines powered down. The Pathfinder had reached its destination after 8 months of travel, the first human vessel to arrive at Proxima Centauri, guided by the ancient star maps found on Mars. "Final systems check complete," announced Navigation Officer Suyu from her station. "We are in stable orbit around the target planet." Min nodded, trying to keep his face composed despite the mixture of excitement and anxiety churning inside him. Ever since Dr. Han's discovery 2 years ago, Earth had been rushing to build ships capable of reaching the nearest star systems identified in the ancient maps. The Pathfinder, with its crew of 12 specialists, represented humanity's first step back into the stars. "Sensors detecting artificial structures on the northern continent," reported Science Officer Jisong, her voice tight with excitement, "and energy signatures consistent with a technological civilization." The bridge fell silent. The mission planners had considered this possibility, but many had doubted they would find anyone still living at these coordinates after 100,000 years. "We're receiving a transmission," announced Communications Officer Dai Choi suddenly. It's directed at us specifically." Min swallowed hard. "Put it through." The main screen flickered to life, showing a being that was clearly not human. It had 4 slender arms and luminous skin that seemed to shift colors like an octopus. Its face featured multiple eyes arranged in a pattern around a central mouth. "Greetings, travelers," came the translated voice through the ship's speakers. "Your vessel is unknown to us, yet you approach using the sacred pathways. Identify yourselves." Min stepped forward. "I am Captain Min Lee of the Earth vessel Pathfinder. We come in peace from the 3rd planet of the Sol system." The alien skin flickered rapidly between blue and gold. "Sol system. The cradle world. This is unexpected." Min exchanged glances with Ji. "We are following coordinates found in ancient structures on our world and its neighbor Mars. We believe they were left by our ancestors." The alien made a sound that the translator couldn't interpret. Then, You must descend. The elders must see this. 2 hours later, Min led a small delegation from the Pathfinder down to the planet's surface via shuttle. The alien civilization had directed them to land near a massive structure that resembled a temple, constructed from a material that shimmered like mother of pearl. As they exited the shuttle, Min noticed the atmosphere was slightly thinner than Earth's but breathable. A delegation of the four-armed beings waited for them, flanking a pathway that led to the temple. "I am Jun," said the alien who had communicated with them earlier. "I serve as first voice to the Elders' Council. Your arrival has caused much discussion." Min bowed slightly. "We're honored by your welcome." As they walked toward the temple, Min observed the alien city around them. The architecture was organic, buildings flowing into one another like coral formations. Many more of the aliens, the Lumina, as Jun called them, had gathered to watch the humans pass, their skin pulsing with colors. "Your kind are known to us," Jun said as they walked. "But in our history, you are called the Seeders, or the First Ones, those who brought knowledge to the stars before the Great Silence." Jai leaned closer to Min. "They think we're the descendants of the ancient humans who built the outposts," she whispered. "We are," Min replied quietly. "Just more distant than they might expect." Inside the temple, they were led to a circular chamber where 7 elderly Lumina sat in a semicircle. Their skin colors were more muted than the younger ones, shifting in slow, gentle waves. The central elder raised all 4 hands in what seemed to be a gesture of welcome or blessing. "After 50 generations, the Seeders returned to us," the elder said. "Yet you seem changed." Min stepped forward. "Respected elders, there is much we don't understand about our own past. The knowledge of our ancestors was lost to us. Only recently did we discover evidence of their achievements." The elders conferred among themselves, speaking in tones too high for the humans to hear properly. "Show us this evidence," requested the central elder finally. Jib brought forward a small device and activated it. A holographic projection appeared, showing the star maps and symbols from the Mars facility. The reaction was immediate. The elders' skin flashed brilliantly, and several rose from their seats. "The sacred glyphs," exclaimed one. "The first language." Another elder approached the hologram, examining it with trembling hands. "These are the teaching symbols, the same ones given to our ancestors when we were still confined to the shallow seas." Min felt a chill run down his spine. "You recognize these symbols? They are the foundation of all our writing, our mathematics," explained June. "They were given to us by the Seeders, who came from beyond the stars when our kind had barely mastered tool use." The central elder turned to Min. "If you have lost this knowledge, then how did you find your way here?" "We discovered an outpost on Mars, a planet in our home system," Min explained. "It contained these star maps and evidence that they were created by humans, our species, over 100,000 years ago." The elders conferred again, more urgently this time. "In our histories," said the central elder eventually, "the Seeders vanished suddenly. All contact with them ceased. Many civilizations they had guided collapsed without their support. Some said they had ascended to a higher plane. Others believed they had been destroyed by an enemy from the void." Min shared a glance with his crew members. "We don't know what happened to them, to our ancestors, but it seems they retreated to Earth and somehow lost their technology and knowledge." "The retreat," whispered one of the elders. "It was foretold that the Seeders would one day return, when the stars aligned once more." Jun stepped forward. "Captain, your arrival fulfills prophecies maintained by not just our species, but dozens of others across this sector of the galaxy. The younger races have always known that the elders would return." Min felt the weight of those words. He had come seeking humanity's past, only to discover they were viewed as legendary beings by other civilizations. "We have so much to learn," he said honestly. "We are not the advanced civilization your histories speak of. We are still finding our way back to the stars." The central elder approached Min and placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. Then we shall help you remember, Cedar, for it was your kind who once helped us reach for the stars. As the diplomatic meetings continued, Min realized the true magnitude of Dr. Han's discovery. Humanity hadn't simply lost some advanced technology. They had forgotten their role as guardians and guides to younger species across the galaxy. They weren't newcomers to the cosmic community. They were its forgotten founders, returning home after a long absence. Dr. Naba floated through the silent corridor, her magnetic boots occasionally engaging to keep her from drifting too far from the floor. The abandoned space station orbiting the red dwarf star had been dormant for thousands of years, yet as soon as the human expedition had approached, ancient systems had hummed to life, recognizing the genetic signatures of their creators. The main power core is operating at 62% capacity, reported engineer Jun Moon through the comlink. After nearly 100,000 years, it's impossible, yet here we are. Na adjusted her helmet light, illuminating the dust-free corridor ahead. Unlike the Mars outpost, this station had maintained internal atmospheric integrity. The air was breathable, though stale, and the gravity generators functioned at low power, creating a gentle microgravity environment. The architecture is unmistakably designed for human use, she noted into her recorder. Doorways, control panels, even the seating, all perfectly proportioned for human bodies. 6 months had passed since Captain Lee's first contact with the Lumina. That historic meeting had opened doors throughout nearby star systems, as word spread quickly among the younger species that the legendary Cedars had returned. Humanity had been granted access to dozens of sites marked on the ancient star maps. Outposts, research stations, and abandoned colonies that had once formed a vast network of human civilization. Nay reached a sealed doorway at the end of the corridor. The control panel glowed with soft blue light, responding to her proximity. She placed her palm against it, and the door slid open with a gentle hiss. "I've reached the central chamber," she reported. The room beyond was circular, with a domed ceiling that displayed a perfect holographic map of the surrounding star systems. In the center stood a raised platform supporting various control terminals. The design was elegant and somehow timeless, neither primitive nor particularly futuristic. Jun joined her a few minutes later, carrying the case of diagnostic equipment. "This station appears to have been a research outpost," he said, examining one of the active terminals. "The database is intact but encrypted." Neo approached the central platform. As she stepped onto it, the entire system seemed to awaken fully, holographic interfaces springing to life around her. Words in an unfamiliar script scrolled across the displays. "It's scanning me," she realized, feeling a slight tingling sensation. Genetic verification. The scan completed, and the script changed, gradually transforming into modern Korean. "Translation protocols engaging," said a soft voice from all around them. "Welcome, descendants. Access granted to research archives." Na and Jun exchanged astonished looks. "It recognizes our language, or at least can adapt to it," Jun whispered. "This facility contains research data on stellar engineering and planetary formation." The voice continued. "How may I assist you?" Na found her voice. "What happened to the people who built this station?" There was a pause, as if the system was considering the question. According to final logs, this station was evacuated in emergency protocol during the Void War. All personnel returned to Central Command for reassignment. No further updates were received. "The Void War," Nay repeated. "What was that?" "Information restricted. Genetic verification indicates knowledge gap. Historical archives are available at the Archivist Collective in the HD 7729 system." 3 days later, Nay stood before the Science Council on Earth, presenting her findings. The chamber was packed with researchers, military officers, and government officials. The revelations from the abandoned outposts had thrown human society into a mix of excitement and existential crisis. "Each outpost we examined contained specialized knowledge," she explained. "The ancient humans deliberately compartmentalized their technology and research across hundreds of facilities. We believe this was a security measure to prevent any single disaster from destroying all their accumulated knowledge. And these archivists mentioned in the logs? Asked Director Ho, the head of the council. According to the Lumina and other contacted species, the archivists are an ancient collective dedicated to preserving knowledge. They maintain the largest repository of pre-retreat human technology in the galaxy. 2 weeks later, Nay found herself aboard the explorer vessel Horizon, approaching the HD 7729 system. Through diplomatic channels established by Captain Lee, humanity had been granted an audience with the mysterious archivists. The archivist homeworld was a massive artificial structure, not quite a planet, not quite a station, but something in between. It orbited the star at a perfect distance, its surface covered with structures that resembled immense library complexes. Nay led the small team from the landing pad into the central receiving area, where they were met by their host. The archivist was a tall, slender being with translucent skin through which complex patterns of light pulsed continuously. It moved with fluid grace as it approached. "I am keeper of ancient wisdom," it introduced itself, the translation coming through the team's earpieces. "For 12,000 years, my lineage has maintained the knowledge entrusted to us by the Cedars. We have awaited your return." The keeper led them through vast halls, filled with storage devices of various designs and eras. Some appeared to be simple crystals, others complex mechanical constructions. All were carefully preserved in special containment fields. "Our order was established by the Cedars, by your ancestors, before the Great Retreat," the keeper explained. "We were chosen because our species possesses perfect recall and exceptional longevity. We were entrusted with preserving knowledge that the Cedars believed would one day be reclaimed." They arrived at a sealed vault at the center of the complex. The door bore the now familiar symbols found in the Mars outpost. "This chamber contains the most sacred artifacts," said the keeper. "Technologies that even we cannot decipher or activate. They respond only to Cedar biology." The vault door opened at Na's approach. Inside was a circular room with a single pedestal in the center, supporting a small spherical device about the size of a baseball. It appeared to be made of a dark metal, with flowing patterns etched into its surface. "What is it?" asked Na. "The heart of creation," replied the keeper with reverence. "The most guarded of all Cedar technologies. It has remained dormant since it was placed in our care." Nell approached carefully. As she neared the sphere, it began to emit a soft blue glow, responding to her presence. When she picked it up, it hummed gently in her hands, and the etchings on its surface began to glow. "It recognizes you," whispered the keeper. The sphere projected a holographic display, intricate schematics for technologies beyond anything humans currently possessed. Nay recognized elements of advanced physics, molecular engineering, and concepts that had no name in modern science. "This is just one of thousands of preserved technologies," the keeper told her, "all waiting for the Cedars to reclaim them. Each responds only to your genetic signature, a safeguard established by your ancestors." As Nay studied the projection, she realized the magnitude of what they had discovered. This wasn't just about reclaiming humanity's past, it was about fulfilling some greater purpose their ancestors had prepared for. The ancient humans hadn't just abandoned their technology. They had carefully preserved it, scattered it across the stars, and ensured it would only be accessible when their descendants were ready to return. Why would they go to such lengths? She wondered aloud. "Because they knew they would be needed again," said the keeper solemnly. "The sacred texts speak of a time when the Cedars would return to face an ancient enemy. Perhaps that time is now." Admiral Huan Yum stood motionless before the holographic display, his weathered face illuminated by the eerily beautiful image of a star system being devoured. The Stellar Observatory on Europa had captured the footage from the distant MJ421 system 2 days ago. What they witnessed defied conventional physics. "Play it again," he ordered quietly. The technician nodded and restarted the recording. The star system appeared normal at first, a medium-sized sun with 7 planets orbiting in stable patterns. Then a shadow appeared at the edge of the system, not solid or defined, but more like a rippling darkness that bent light around it. Within hours, it engulfed the outermost planet. The planet didn't explode or break apart. It simply faded from existence, as if it had never been there at all. 3 systems have gone dark in the past month, reported Commander Bin Choi, Yoon's second-in-command. All in the same pattern. No distress signals, no debris fields, no radiation signatures, just absence. The Admiral's communicator chimed. "It's Dr. Ba," he said after checking the ID. "Put her through." Naba's face appeared on a side screen. In the 8 months since her visit to the archivist world, she had been working non-stop to decode the ancient technologies recovered from various outposts. "Admiral, we found something in the archives," she said without preamble. "An emergency protocol message from our ancestors. I think you need to see this immediately." 6 hours later, the highest-ranking military and scientific personnel from Earth gathered in the secure conference room beneath the Seoul Defense Command. The mood was tense as Naba connected her data device to the main projector. "This recording was sealed in a quantum vault by the archivist," she explained. "It was programmed to be released only when specific conditions were met. 3 days ago, those conditions were triggered, when the MJ421 system was consumed." She activated the recording. A holographic image appeared of a woman in a simple uniform. She could have been any modern human. There was nothing alien or ancient about her appearance, which somehow made the message more unsettling. "This is Admiral Mira Kang of the Solar Fleet," the woman began, her voice clear despite the passage of time. "If you are seeing this message, then the void has returned, and humanity has forgotten its greatest enemy." The room fell silent as the ancient admiral continued. "The void is not a natural phenomenon. It is a conscious entity composed of what we call dark energy, a sentient cosmic predator that consumes matter, energy, even space-time itself. We fought it to a standstill at great cost, but our civilization was devastated. We lacked the resources to destroy it completely, so we implemented the retreat protocol." The hologram shifted to show tactical displays of massive fleet engagements against a spreading darkness that matched what had been observed in MJ421. "We scattered our knowledge and technology across thousands of outposts, entrusted critical components to allied species, and retreated to Earth to rebuild. We encoded warnings in our genetic memory. The reason humans instinctively fear the dark. The reason we tell stories of light defeating darkness across all cultures." Admiral Yoon felt a chill run through him as the ancient admiral's words resonated with something deep and primal within him. "The Stellar Forge was our final weapon," continued Admiral Kang. "We separated it into 7 components and hid them throughout the galaxy. Only when the void returned would these components reveal themselves to human genetic signatures. You must recover them and complete what we could not." The recording ended, leaving the room in stunned silence. Finally, Admiral Yoon spoke. "Dr. Ba, what do we know about this Stellar Forge?" "Very little," she admitted, "but the archivists provided coordinates for the 7 components. And there's something else. The heart of creation we recovered. It's one of the components." 3 days later, an emergency session of the newly formed Galactic Council convened on the neutral space station Harmony. Representatives from 27 spacefaring species gathered to hear humanity's warning. The station's grand chamber was designed to accommodate beings of widely varying physiologies, from the methane-breathing Voraks to the crystalline Tellurians. Admiral Yoon stood before them, feeling the weight of countless eyes upon him. Captain Lee stood at his side as translator and diplomat. "The threat we face is not new," Yoon began. "Our ancestors encountered it 100,000 years ago. They called it the Void, a sentient dark energy organism that consumes everything in its path." Holographic displays showed the destruction of the MJ421 system. Murmurs of alarm spread through the assembly. "We have confirmed similar patterns in 2 other systems along the galactic rim," Yoon continued. The entity is following the same invasion path it used before, moving inward toward the more densely populated regions of our galaxy. The representative from the aquatic Nurai race rose, water dripping from its scales. The ancient texts speak of a time of darkness that preceded the coming of the Cedars, it said. We believed it to be mere mythology. It was history, corrected Yoon. And it is repeating itself. The Lumina representative stepped forward. If the elders, if humans, fought this entity before, how was it defeated? Not defeated, only contained, Yoon explained. Our ancestors developed a weapon called the Stellar Forge. We must recover its components and reassemble it before the void reaches the core systems. A wave of discussion swept through the chamber. Finally, the eldest archivist rose from its seat. The Cedars entrusted us with knowledge for this very moment, it said, its translucent body pulsing with light. We have guarded it faithfully, awaiting your return. What you require of us, we shall provide. One by one, representatives pledged their support. Ships, resources, personnel, all would be contributed to the effort. The younger races looked to humanity not as newcomers to the galactic stage, but as returning protectors. As the council session ended, Captain Lee approached Admiral Yoon. They see us as their ancient guardians, he said quietly. But we're not the same civilization that fought the void before. We've lost so much knowledge. Yoon watched as the various representatives conferred among themselves, already organizing their contributions to the coming war effort. We may have forgotten our past, he replied, but something in us remembers. The very fact that we're here, that we found our way back to the stars, proves that the retreat protocol worked. Our ancestors embedded the path home in our very DNA, in our myths, in our instinctive fear of darkness, in our endless drive to reach for the stars. A young Lumina approached them, its skin flickering with patterns of respect and determination. The fleet from Proxima Centauri stands ready, Admiral, it said. We have waited generations for the elders to return and lead us. The time for that prophecy has come. Admiral Yoon nodded solemnly. Prepare your ships. We have components to find, and a galaxy to defend. As the Allied fleets assembled, long dormant defense systems throughout the galaxy began to activate, recognizing the genetic signatures of their creators. Humanity hadn't just been rebuilding on Earth, they had been evolving into the defenders they once were, guided by genetic memories and myths carefully crafted to survive millennia. The ancient enemy had returned, but so had humanity. The combined fleet held position at the edge of the galactic core, a gathering of ships unlike any seen in 100,000 years. 10,000 vessels representing 24 species, all united under the command of the Earth flagship Eternal Dawn. The massive ship gleamed against the backdrop of stars, its hull incorporating technology both ancient and new. Admiral Du Kang stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the tactical display. 6 months of desperate searching had yielded all 7 components of the Stellar Forge. The ancient weapon had been reassembled and installed at the heart of the Eternal Dawn, though even Earth's best scientists only partially understood its workings. The void has changed course, reported First Officer Binge, his voice steady despite the tension filling the bridge. It's abandoned the outer systems and is moving directly toward our position. Du nodded. Their plan was working. After recovering the final component of the Stellar Forge from a gas giant in the Cygnus arm, they had activated a powerful energy signature designed to attract the void, much like a beacon drawing a predator. All ships report ready, said Communications Officer Yul Moon from her station. The Lumina battle group is in position. The Nurai defenders have established the secondary perimeter. Du touched the small pendant at her throat, a simple stone carving of a flame that had been passed down through her family for countless generations. Now she understood it wasn't just a trinket but a symbol of the ancient guardians, kept alive through family traditions long after its true meaning had been forgotten. Begin the countdown sequence, she ordered. All ships maintain formation. The Stellar Forge required precise positioning to function properly. According to the recovered schematics, it didn't destroy the void directly. Nothing could truly destroy such an entity. Instead, it created a pocket dimension, a prison of sorts where the void could be contained. Enemy approaching visual range, announced Tactical Officer Jun Choi, putting it on screen. The main view screen shifted to show the approaching darkness. It wasn't solid, not exactly. It moved like a living oil slick across the fabric of space, absorbing light and matter alike. Stars winked out as they were consumed, leaving nothing behind but empty void. "It's larger than the historical records indicated," said Science Officer Mia Kwan, her voice hushed. "It's been feeding, growing stronger." Du squared her shoulders. "Then we'll need to be stronger too." She opened a channel to the entire fleet. "This is Admiral Kang. All ships prepare to engage according to plan. We are the line between darkness and light. Many of our peoples have waited generations for this moment, the return of humanity to fulfill its ancient role as guardians of this galaxy. Today we honor that legacy." The void surged forward suddenly, accelerating toward the fleet. Several smaller ships broke formation in panic. "Hold position," Du commanded sharply. "The forge needs time to charge." Engineer Wu Min's voice came through from the engine room. "Stellar forge at 60% capacity, Admiral. We need 3 more minutes." Du watched as the darkness approached, feeling something stir deep within her, a primal fear encoded in her genes by ancestors who had faced this same enemy. But alongside the fear was something else, a sense of purpose, of destiny fulfilled. "Launch the resonance satellites," she ordered. From the Eternal Dawn and its escort ships, hundreds of small devices shot forward, forming a lattice-like pattern between the fleet and the approaching void. They were based on technology recovered from the Mars outpost, designed to create a temporary barrier that would slow the entity's advance. The void struck the barrier, sending ripples of darkness across the energy field. The satellites strained against the pressure, many failing in bursts of light. But the barrier held, barely. 90 seconds until full charge, reported Wu. The void pressed harder against the failing barrier. Tendrils of darkness wrapped around the dying satellites, crushing them one by one. "It's learning," observed Mia, studying her readings. "Adapting to our defenses." Du gripped the command rail tightly. "All ships prepare to execute pattern echo. On my mark." The barrier collapsed in a shower of energy, and the void surged forward. "Now," shouted Du. The fleet moved with perfect coordination, breaking into smaller groups that executed complex maneuvers around the edges of the void. The entity, seemingly confused by the multiple targets, spread itself thin, trying to pursue them all. "It's working," breathed Bin. "The diffusion effect is keeping it from concentrating its mass." 30 seconds to full charge, came Wu's voice, strained with effort. Du watched as several ships were caught by the void's tendrils, fading from existence as they were consumed. Each loss sent a pang through her heart, but she kept her focus on the larger battle. "Stellar forge fully charged," announced Wu finally. "Ready to activate on your command." Du took a deep breath. "All remaining ships, pull back to safe distance. Prepare for dimensional rift." As the Allied vessels retreated, the Eternal Dawn moved forward, positioning itself directly before the approaching void. The massive flagship seemed tiny against the expanding darkness that had consumed entire star systems. Du placed her palm on the ancient control panel that had been integrated into her command station. It hummed with energy, recognizing her genetic signature, the same safeguard that had protected the technology for 100,000 years. "This ends now," she said quietly. "For our ancestors, for our future." She pressed her palm firmly against the panel, and the stellar forge activated. A blinding light erupted from the Eternal Dawn, cutting through the darkness of space. The void recoiled as if in pain. At the point of contact between light and darkness, space itself began to tear open. "Dimensional rift forming," reported Mia, her voice filled with awe. "It's working exactly as the schematics predicted." The rift expanded. its edges glowing with energies that defied normal physics. The void tried to retreat, but the forge's energy had locked onto it, drawing it inexorably toward the tear in reality. "The void is being pulled in," said Jun, monitoring the tactical display. 80%. 90%. The ship shuddered violently as the forces involved strained its structural integrity. "Hull breach on decks 12 through 15, reported Ben. "Emergency force fields engage." Du held onto her station as the ship trembled around her. "Hold position. We finish this now." With a final surge of energy from the forge, the last of the void was drawn into the dimensional rift. The tear in space began to close, sealing the ancient enemy in its prison dimension. "Rift closure at 95%, said Mia. "It's nearly done." As the rift sealed completely, a shockwave of energy pulsed outward, washing over the eternal dawn and the watching fleet beyond. For a moment, communications went silent as systems recovered from the energy surge. Then, one by one, status reports began coming in. The void was gone. The stellar forge had worked. A cheer erupted across the bridge, echoed throughout the ship and across the communications channels linking the Allied fleet. Du allowed herself a small smile of relief, though she knew the victory had come at a heavy cost. In the days that followed, representatives from all 24 species gathered on Earth for a historic ceremony. In the Grand Hall of the newly constructed Unity Tower, Admiral Du Kang stood before the assembled delegates. "Today, we formalize what began long ago," she said. "A united galaxy under the protection of all our peoples. Humanity does not claim leadership by right of our ancient role. We claim partnership, forged in battle and in peace." The Galactic Council was officially established that day, with Earth as one member among equals. But throughout the galaxy, the younger races still looked to humans with special respect, not as conquerors or rulers, but as the elder guardians who had returned when needed most. As Du looked out over the assembled delegates, she thought of her ancestors who had made the difficult choice to retreat and rebuild. They had entrusted future generations with the knowledge and tools needed to face the darkness again. That trust had not been misplaced. Humanity had come home to the stars, not as newcomers, but as returning protectors, fulfilling an ancient promise to stand guard over the light of civilization against the ever-present threat of darkness.